There I am. Okay, so this is day 2 for us now then. Catfish to Burntroot, starring the two amigos. So flash, there we go. So the trek that we're going on, this is actually a full day. I think we were up around 8, but because we've got like 5 hours for our trek, we're just taking it easy, right? We thought we got lots of time. I don't think we actually packed up and left until like 10:30 or something like that. Right?
I actually think it was past 11.
Oh, was it? Well, there you go.
But no, we had both been, or at least I had, and I think you had as well, been working really hard. And it's a nice atmosphere to be able to get up whenever the fuck we want and go. And this was really nice as well, because this day we knew would be the only day with this character, which was almost no portaging and more of a lake to lake with a bit of Petawawa River in. So we wanted to, we knew that it wouldn't be as onerous as some of the other days with the big portages. So we had no real impetus to start early. And it was a little bit misty. So
yep. And we did end up running into some challenges on the way on this day, but they weren't associated with portages.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So here we are on our island paradise in Catfish, and around 11, we'll say, maybe 11:30, we set out, and
we saw at that. So Catfish Lake was not super busy, right? We saw maybe 3 groups of canoes that morning as we were setting out.
True. We saw more the previous evening when I jumped in the lake naked. so as soon as I got in bare ass naked, then canoes just sort of came from everywhere. And anyway. But in the morning there weren't very many.
Yeah. And the Spanish couple from Southern Ontario passed us at about 11, just before we set off, I would say, going on the same general route.
But we didn't catch them, huh?
We must have. I
don't remember passing them.
No, then maybe it was quicker than earlier than 11.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, anyway, so we came down through Catfish and then sort of went up through Catfish Rapids.
Oh yeah, we spent a lot of time fishing that day. That's why we didn't catch.
That's true, yeah. That'll be why. Through Pearly Lake and then out to Burntroot was our trajectory. Yeah. So, like you said, I think I was around 8 o'clock or something like that when I got up, and we got the breakfast going, and then we found snapping turtle down off our little swimming point, and I believe that's a video. This is him eating a nut, which is
not a euphemism.
Yep, not a euphemism. It's a real nut, and he's having a good munch here. If he can get at it. Oh yeah, that's
get to angle it in.
Yeah.
So
if you look close, you can see a bunch of small fish sort of swimming around down in here as well. And these guys were basically following that snapping turtle around.
Trying to get his nut.
Trying to get the nut, yeah.
The snapping turtle is a mean-looking motherfucker.
Yeah. Yeah. And to put it in perspective, that's Martin's hand that's going out there. That snapping turtle is big compared to your hand. His head could probably, that's like finger sized, I think. So he could probably take a chunk out of you if he got a hold.
I think he could probably take a finger off.
Yeah. Which was nice to find out the day after I'd been swimming in there naked.
Seemed like a friendly fellow. He
did, yeah.
He had no fear of us whatsoever. I think probably at that size, he's an apex kind of guy. Yeah. But wasn't aggressive, besides towards our nuts. Yeah. And he just had no fear whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah, really cool. So here's a video of us making use of the chanterelles that you'd collected the previous day. And here he is munching away on the mushrooms.
Does a snapping turtle like chanterelles?
Yeah, the angle here is pretty good because you see his full shell too.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. You did a good job. This is your video. You got right down on him there. And you can like see him looking at you suspiciously.
Yeah. Well, he was very friendly, so I felt that I could be a foot away from him.
Yeah. That's your first mistake. All right. So after we packed up and started going, I think I've got this right. When we got down to around campsite 6 or so, we had, I think it was in this area, we ended up having to go through like a shallow grassy area, right? The river got quite shallow there. We didn't have to get out or anything, but
yeah. So there were two at the, was it here? Oh yeah, here we kind of went the wrong way and had to go through a shallow grassy area because you could go both ways, but the other way was the main channel.
Yeah.
And we didn't end up going in the main channel, and we had to go through that shallow grassy area. And then we opened up onto the bigger part of the of Catfish Lake, and there was some larger parties sitting on their campsite by the rocks. That's also where there were we fished, and we saw a loon attacking something in the water. We were far enough away that we couldn't quite tell what was going on, but there was some serious battle going on, and the loon would come up flapping and then go back down multiple times.
yeah, I can only assume it was some sort of merman that was attacking it, and it was fighting back, but I don't know.
I think that's the most reasonable explanation.
This was also the point where I spotted the snowy owl in the trees, and we turned back and went in for some close inspection to find that it was actually a birch tree.
I believe that happened down near campsites 11 and 12.
Oh, is that where that was? Because I think you're right, actually, because we were going to go to the sort of inside part of 11 because we saw other people going through there.
Exactly.
But they ran into shit, and we're like, okay, no way, and came back out around. That's where that was. You're absolutely right. Yep.
By the map, it looked like you could cut through to the west there, and we started following somebody that way. We fished a little without success there. We started following somebody, and then we could see that they were portaging through reeds, and thought, that doesn't seem right. And then we took another look at the map and saw that even though it did look blue and clear that way, that the kind of route drawn on the map, much like the route here drawn on the map, keeps straight south before cutting hard. And so it's right at the bottom of that lake that we saw the birch owl.
Yeah, the birch owl. So in both of those instances where we hit that shallow grassy area, the first time we went to the west, and that was the wrong choice. The second time,
terrible choice.
It wasn't terrible. It was okay for us. We got through, no problem. We didn't do that on the second time, and that was definitely the right choice. So basically stay to the east the whole way down through here.
And we're doing some fishing, and that's why we didn't catch up with those people, but we essentially caught up with them at the portage that you can see down by bottom left, and we could see while we were fishing, we'll talk about that in a second, them talking to the people coming the other way, and the other people coming the other way talked to us and said, we hear that it's really, really shallow, and we'll have to drag our canoes through the reeds up here. We told them, nope, just stay in the actual channel where you're supposed to go, and it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, you're good. So,
movie. Say something. Say something.
Good job.
headed that way from
That way.
Catfish Lake.
Nice.
And where do you think that was? Was that just right as we were setting
That's-
out today?
Yep. Yeah, I think that's just down in here.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
And you can see that what kind of day it was. It had dried out from the rain, but there was still some cloud, and it was a good temperature and just, a lovely kind of average Algonquin day.
Okay, so there's some pictures, and this is actually from up here. So I didn't have any pictures from down here after all, I think. Which is just as well, because we fished in here towards campsite 11, but instead of going through there, we came back out and around. And that was the safe path, right?
Good move.
Yep.
And once we realized the snowy owl was a tree, we decided not to take a picture.
Yeah. Okay. So after we'd come out and around here, oh, what's this? This is a video. Looks like we're just
cooking
down through here. Yeah, I think that is down around that part, actually.
Yeah.
Right? Because if we go back here, that's the main channel that's down around this way.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Once we got down around here and got to the lower part of that rapids, that's where we got our first fish. And to prove that it's not rubber, there it is. We were confused as to what those fish were, but they're falls fish. That was our conclusion, right?
Yep, and they're decent size. You can see the foot there as a marker. Yep. But we caught 2 fish. I now see your Zoom screen as what's sharing.
Oh, really? Okay. That's because PowerPoint is not responding currently. So just give it a sec. Let's see what happens.
So those were really quite aggressive fish, right? So
very.
We were.
But you'd caught catfish off the point the day before. I don't know if we caught anything else other than falls fish after that, though.
No, I think that's right. Which people don't prize false fish. They say that it's not the best fish to catch and eat, but it certainly pulled hard. It was fun to pull these in, and they were good sized fish. On this side, you caught quite a large one, that one there, and I caught a slightly smaller one, and it was before lunch, and we weren't sure whether to take him with us for dinner or to throw him back because we still had something like 3-4 hours to paddle. And then we decided to throw those back and see if we can have luck further on. But yeah, it was really quite difficult to find out the identity of these. We thought they were an invasive carp afterwards for a while because they looked a little like this. But no, this is a normal endemic fish that was, as the internet tells us, used to be the apex predator in a lot of these systems before some of the game fish were introduced.
50 points Gryffindor for using the word endemic. Nice. You give good paradigm.
Thanks,
all
man.
right, so here is that portage that we just clicked away from as we're getting off. So the fish was actually caught just out here in that sort of grassy area. I assume you can see my slides again, Martin.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So a click.
Yeah.
Right. It was, again, fairly it was fairly gentle flow, even though this is a quote unquote rapids, as you can see. I can't remember. Did you line this and I walked it?
No, that was later.
That was later, because there was one like that where you lined and I walked.
That
meant I got to do some fishing Well, I was waiting for you at the top side.
Yeah, the lining was not a shortcut, but was fun. That was the second big portage. So the notes here are fish caught over by the reeds. We did fish in the fast water as well, and got some hits, but I think we didn't get any actually keepers.
No, it was smaller ones at that point. The bigger ones were down just where the water started to get gentle again.
Yeah.
And along the edge of the reeds.
And those were cool to catch because they struck hard, but also they were so aggressive. Like the one that I caught, I could see my lure and I could see the fish checking it out and then went for it. So that was a cool little experience. And yeah, you can see how the Petawawa looks as it goes from lake to lake through here.
Yeah, pretty nice. So I didn't have a picture for above the rapids, but I found one. That's the reason why we have blue skies and powdery clouds in this next picture, not ours. But this is basically what it looked like above that rapids when we got back in. Did we have lunch at that point?
No, we had lunch after we went up to the next rapids, and we caught fish below the next rapids.
Mm-hmm.
I temporarily lost hair. That's why you can see a bald spot. It has since grown back.
Very good.
Only right then that you could possibly think that I had a bald spot. But yeah, so there we sat and fished a little bit, and we caught good fish again, same kind of fish, same false fish, this time the one that I caught was a little bit bigger and had the coloration, and the one you caught was a little bit smaller and was more silver. And then can you see what the size of that, or the length of that that portage is? I can't see.
380.
380. So to save 380 meters and to prove my manhood, I decided to line that rapid up. And so we left most everything in the canoe. Scott took his fishing gear and walked up to the top. And I walked the canoe up the rapids and up to, thigh deep in the rapids. And it was not a time-saving mechanism. It was fun. It was challenging, but took about twice as long as it would have to just do the portage the normal way.
In fairness to you, there was a tree that had fallen across the river up that rapids that
Yes.
I don't think you could see from the bottom.
No.
But I could see from the top. So I was fishing and waiting for you to come up so that you could see that, because I thought, what's he going to do here? Is he just going to turn around and then have to portage it? But, props to you. You basically surfed the canoe up, stepped over the tree and kicked the canoe under, I think, in order to navigate it, which was very well done. So we pulled the canoe in there. That's where we had lunch. And while we were eating
let's just say that there was some thunder over the last about hour before lunch, and we kept looking around and expecting it to look worse, but at least I felt that the thunder was kind of north and west of us.
So north and east.
North and east, yeah, sorry, north and east, yeah. And it's an easterly wind usually that blows through there, and I was thinking, we talked about how lucky we are that this is not coming towards us, and that we're not getting the thunder and the storm, but we are close enough to hear it repeatedly in the distance over about an hour before lunch.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately for us, toward the end of our lunch, and it actually hastened our lunch, the sky started to get pretty dark to the east. So we packed up and hauled ass right quick, thinking we better get out in front of this thing before it catches us, because it was coming fast from behind us.
The clouds got mean, and it was clear that the thunder was getting closer. and we were not where we wanted to be, and we thought, let's get some miles under us and pull over when we need to, but maybe if we're lucky and if it stalls, we'll get to the campsite and set up, even though the campsite was quite far away.
Quite far away. So we basically got in and paddled like hell and
made good time.
Made very good time, actually. We really hauled ass through Pearly Lake. And once we got around this bend, I can remember because we went past that point where the cove was coming back from us. And I said, uh-oh, the wind is changing. So rather than blowing from behind us from the east, it started blowing from the north.
Yeah, and
as I said that, it started blowing from the west.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sorry to interrupt. So, and just before that happened, though, we had expressed amazement that we were actually getting distance between us and the storm. Like, how do you out canoe a storm, right? But the clouds didn't look as angrily right on top of us, and the thunder wasn't as loud, and so we were like, wow, we're actually outrunning the storm. And as you say, you noticed that the wind shifted, then the wind shifted again, and then we came around that bend, and you look forward. On the right side, blue sky. On the left side, blue sky. Coming straight down Pearly Lake, big, angry, fuck-off clouds.
Yep, big time. And it was the weirdest thing. So, here we go. So basically what we had happening was angry clouds behind us, swirling winds, blue sky to the left and right in front of us, and a real mean thunderstorm coming down Pearly Lake. And clearly those two things hit. I didn't take any pictures or videos because we were just paddling to beat Jesus so that we could get off the lake because we got caught in a hailstorm out in the middle of Pearly Lake. And the canoe in front of me, was filling with little pellets of ice as we were canoeing. I kind of kept my head down so that I wasn't getting hit in the face by the ice and just paddling as hard as I could to get across Pearly Lake. This isn't a picture of it. This is something that I found on the internet that was a reasonable facsimile. Here's another picture that I found on the internet that was a reasonable facsimile. And basically, once we came around that bend, the hail started about here, I think. And it kept up until about here, I think.
Yeah, that seems about right. And it was, it was inevitable that we were going to get hit by that rain as we were going towards it. Yeah. And then it started raining a bit, and then it started raining so much that you look around on the water and it feels like more water is coming back up off the splash than there is hitting. Obviously that's not right, but you've got that whole whiteness all over the surface of the water from the splashing. And then it was still a warm rain, and then all of a sudden the temperature of the rain just plummeted. Yeah. And in there were some nice hail pellets. So,
now I will say that after paddling so hard all the way up Pearly Lake, by the time that we got to the end of it, that cold rain felt good. Like yep. It was quite refreshing. I could have done without the ice chunks hitting me, but the rain felt nice. So we got to the end of that, and there's us taking stock, basically. Yeah. You're drenched. You're just soaked. I was just soaked. At this point, you can actually see some water in the bottom of the canoe there. I don't know if we tipped it out at that point or not. I don't think so.
Well, we're about to if we haven't yet, because there was too much water to do anything with.
Yeah. It was chilly, but like I said, by the time we got to the end of that, it felt quite refreshing.
Yeah.
Here's a video that you took of it, and you can see I've stripped off here.
and you can see the blue sky, right? So like that's probably our storm in the distance, and on the it was chased up by some blue sky. So very variable weather, and we just got nailed straight on with the storm. Had we got in some trouble with ground strikes, nobody would have thought that it wasn't our own fault, because there was some thunder going on when we were trying to cross the lake, and a more responsible pair of young fellows would have gone to the side, and that's not what we did. But there was never any ground strikes. It was just thunder up in the sky, and a wonderful, exhilarating crossing of Pearly Lake.
Yeah, it was an excellent story for sure. And since we're not young fellers, we're old fellers that had experience, I don't feel so bad about it anyway.
Plus, we've already lived most of the best part of our life anyway. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that point that we were taking those videos from was at the base of the last portage. That portage was like 150 meters, so it was really nothing. It was just sort of up over a little ridge. And then we're out onto Burntroot. So the circle is where we are in the boat. We're actually out in the lake here paddling across to the far side. And then we had to turn down a little bit to our campsite, which is, I think, down on that point down here in the distance.
Yeah, we checked out the campsite. So there's a campsite at the portage. We didn't stay there. Actually, the only people we saw that day came and probably stayed there because they were pulling in at 6 p.m. They could have kept going, but I'm guessing they stayed there. Mm-hmm. But there was a campsite directly across that, the little bay that looked nice but had no good landing. So it was very sheer 10-foot rock to get to the top of the campsite. So we decided not to stop there.
Yep.
And we continued along, but play the video now.
They're on the island all the time from down there. They're on the island all the time, but they do come across on the ice as well. But at home,
talking about bears in Newfoundland.
Yep, pretty much. Having another conversation entirely, not narrating what I'm shooting. But as you can see, by the time we got to Burntroot, it was a lovely day.
It's a lovely, lovely day. Though on and off for the rest of the evening and the next day when we were on Burntroot, it did look like there was rain half an hour away, and it never arrived.
Yep. We saw really weird weather patterns the next day as well, as you remember. But we'll talk about that on day 3. Have I spelled hail incorrectly?
No, I think that's how you. Or is it L-E as a stone? I know that's Hail Caesar, but I don't know. The other thing that is kind of corollary to this is I had a very distinct memory of that portage. I saw a moose on that portage in 1998. And I've told that story many times. I was portaging and heard a noise and tilted out my canoe, and like a foot in front of my canoe was a 8-foot moose butt. And the moose was just sitting there chewing something, looking at me like it couldn't give a shit. And it was, it's clear to me that it was on that portage.
Neat. Yep. You don't want to catch a moose in the butt with the front of your canoe. It's a good way to get a kick from a moose. Okay, so basically we paddled to the other side of the lake and then sort of skirted along the shore until we got to our campsite, which was over on this point. So flick. So there's our campsite now circled. This is after we've unpacked everything and climbed to the top. We got some fish cooking here. These were the falls fish that we caught.
Second set of fall
Second
fish.
set of false fish that we caught. Yeah, you're right.
And this is also a nice campsite, less open, less kind of picturesque than the last one. It had a front entrance and a back entrance. The back entrance was much easier to get to and fro the water.
We didn't know it was there though. We took the front entrance, which was really steep up over the rocks there. The back was way better for sure.
Yeah, so I cleaned the fish down at the front entrance, and then Scott fried them up. Is this a video? We had a video of you frying.
Yeah, I've got it on the next slide.
Hey Scott, what you doing? Cooking the fish now. The fish.
That is a fantastic tarp hang, I have to say.
We were bosses with hanging tarps. We did a great job, I thought, the whole trip with tarp hanging. Not patting ourselves on the back or anything here, but it was solid tarp hangs that we were doing.
Solid tarping. And you can see we have some clothes hanging that was still from the hail storm, and that took days to dry, even though I believe that's the last rain we actually ourselves experienced. The rain in the distance.
Yeah, you're right. But with that, I still had a t-shirt that was damp on the last night that we spent in there. I think it was actually dried out the last day, but the last night it was still damp when I was hanging it.
Yeah.
So
that's whether a hailstorm will get you.
That's what it'll do. That's what it'll do. Yeah. So there we go. That was our day 2. On the start of day 3, I actually did a decent job of taking a video of the entire campsite, because this was actually a really big campsite. It went quite a ways, sort of down and around this way, out to where the bear hang and the thunderbox was, and sort of looping up and around behind your tent. There was another little area out here.
Yep.
And the back way in was sort of down a path and down to the Birch Bay area down in behind here as well.
Yeah.
So that was quite nice.
And this is where we discovered the rope being missing, because you said, I can't find any bear hang. I can't find the bear hang.
That's right. Yeah.
And I thought you had meant you went around and couldn't find a nice branch to throw the bear hang, and so I didn't think of anything of it until we were actually going to throw a rope over, and I said, I don't see the rope.
You did take my rope, didn't you? And I was like, no, I didn't. So I was actually really bummed out about that evening.
I felt bad. I didn't mean to make you feel bummed out, and it was fine. We had enough rope. We scavenged a rope from the tarp. Actually, we used the line rope for the bear hang and one of the other ropes for the tarp, and it was absolutely fine.
Yeah. Moral of the story, though, always bring extra rope.
Yeah, and Algonquin giveth, and Algonquin
That's right.
Algonquin taketh away.
That was your quote of the evening.
And yeah, it was the next morning. We were up pretty early. If you're going to show that video, it was really clear in the morning, as sometimes happens, and then by the time we got going, it was a little bit cloudier.
Yeah, I've saved that for day 3, so we can end the discussion of day 2 here and then kick it open for day 3. Awesome.